Alright, here we are guys, back for another tutorial. Hole 4, Greenwich Point. So, this is one of the more challenging ones, and the way that you play it really differs depending on the wind. So sometimes I might try to go to that left fairway. With this wind, no, absolutely not. So you want to go over to the right-hand side here and just dump it as far as you can. You might want to up your wind resistance ball. You would probably never want to go with a navigator in this situation. It's not quite enough. So definitely going to have to go full throttle. Very shaky needle here. Pretty good overall. Let's see how far it is though. That's the biggest issue is the length issue. And it looks like, that was part of the battle. Missing that rough on that second bounce was crucial. But you can see that you're still leaving yourself a far ways back. If, for instance, the next is straight in the face, you're going to really kind of almost put yourself out a little towards max with a navigator. Not something I would recommend. Now I'm going to play this much closer to maybe a Thor 5. So you can see, Thor 4, Thor 5. Still going to go pretty much kingmakers in this tour because you really need that side spin element for the shootouts. So I'm going to go relatively full, and the difference between me and my opponent will be much more yards off the tee, and that'll give me a very, very good chance for the second shot when you can get it up into the north half of this fairway. Kind of gives you a nice flexible range of things to do. We can either go sniper, we can go B-52, for instance, but it looks like here, straight wind here, not going to be a big deal. But like I mentioned, you just don't want to put yourself in a situation where you could potentially have to max to get there. So what I'll usually do, definitely not a bump shot on this hole is not what I do. So I can't tell if my opponent's trying to rough bump this, especially since you can't see their spin. But you can see that with a backspin shot, you're basically just playing it safe. There's never going to be a threat to make it. So what I'll usually try to do is I'll try to get a little bit more aggressive on a shot like this. And here you can see that we're not quite towards max. This does usually come to a little bit of an elevation. I'm going to go minus 5% here, which is uphill. And I'm also not quite at max, maybe towards here, 4.9 rings. So basically 1-to-1, and I'm going to try, the best that I can to get somewhat aggressive without getting overly aggressive. So you can kind of see with how I'm running it out. And as I mentioned, I'm going to get basically as aggressive as I can without getting actually aggressive. So I'm going to, back off of this curl, especially to accommodate for that great ball, because that's going to push me very close towards this bunker. So you can see that it really does get quite aggressive. The more that you can curl it and cut that angle, the better chance that you can actually make it with that hop shot. But as I mentioned that coming down that hill, you got to get very aggressive with that second bounce. So you got to be thinking wind effect. Wind effect is going to be a very important element, as if that was more of a side wind, you have to consider that it might blow it into the bunker if it's a left or right wind. However, if it's a right to left wind, it's going to push it farther away from the bunker. You might want to utilize more curl. So just something to be thinking about. In any regard, good luck with this hole, guys, and catch you guys on the shootout coming up.